Now, the emotional center has there's its own region of the brain. Okay, it has its own region, and that's the limbic system. And the limbic system, and these are the parts also that are the most impacted by anxiety. So the limbic system includes, and these are the main parts that are impacted also by anxiety. And these are the things that are the amygdala, the hippocampus. I would say the amygdala is the part, it's often considered the fear center. It's the part of the brain where, and it really, it's the fear center. It's the job is to keep us alive. It's about survival. So it's really adaptive because it wants to keep us alive. So that's the fight, flight, or freeze. The hippocampus is where the memory is. That's the memory. The hypothalamus is that's another control center. That's another messenger that sends messages to the whole body. And the thalamus for the senses, it handles most of our emotional responses. And then the prefrontal cortex is the part where the logic and the reasoning is. And that actually integrates the emotional things that happens with the rest of with the communication system. Okay, so I'm gonna mention talk about the different types quickly. We're just going to briefly talk about the different types of anxiety because there's not just one type of anxiety, and these are according to like the Diagnostic Statistic Manual, and that's what's used for diagnosis of anxiety. So, so first, panic disorder. I'm going to talk about also what's happening in the brain in these areas when this is going on. So the panic disorder actually usually has excessive norepinephrine and less GABA. GABA is a neurotransmitter actually that actually slows down. It helps to reduce the excitement in the brain. So that helps to inhibit too much excitement. So a person with panic disorder may be having too much norepinephrine can be causing them to feel more jittery and panic. Phobia is another type, and that's when there's a specific fear to something. It can be a fear of spiders. It can be a fear of heights. And this can be an imbalance of serotonin, and that's what regulates the mood and emotions. And this can cause excessive, so this would be being excessively afraid of something beyond what the typical person would be, okay? Some people might say that I'm excessively afraid of spiders. Or insects. So whatever it is, and it's phobia is a specific thing, okay? It's a specific area. Now, this is a and I want to. This was a study done where there were 4 groups of people, and this is on the phobias. 4 groups of people who were afraid of spiders, and they put tarantulas in a cage and exposed them to the tarantula in the cage. And there were 4 different things that they had that the groups of people do. Okay. Group 1, they said, label what you're feeling. Just label what you're feeling. Group 2, they said, just make general observations about what you see. Group 3, they said just focus on something irrelevant. And it didn't have to be connected at all. And group 4, they said don't say anything at all. Which group do you think did the best in as far as there, because then after they did this, then they had them come back. After they had them do that, they had them come back and they rated again how intense the fear was. Which group do you think had the biggest impact as far as improvement in response? Good. Yes, I see Kathy's finger up to number one. Are you saying you're number one, or are you saying that? Yes, it was group one. Label. So what does this tell us? This does, and this is something that research says it is healthy and it is helpful for us to label, to know. And I think that's part of connecting with ourselves and how we're feeling and noticing it. So not being afraid of identifying and connecting, oh, I'm feeling fear. This is, I'm afraid of that. This feels, and then even noticing how it feels in our body, because that helps us to stay connected. Sometimes when fears can be overwhelming, especially if we're too afraid to acknowledge it, we can dissociate. The body can dissociate, and that can be an adaptive in the time, but it can also be maladaptive over time, because then we can disconnect. So far we have those two. Now, generalized anxiety is also another type of anxiety, and this is like overactive worry. This is like worry, kind of almost unable to turn off that worry button. And people with generalized anxiety tend to have a enlarged or larger amygdala. Their amygdala is active. We're going to talk about how to get the amygdala back down to and manage that amygdala so it's not enlarged. And we're not going to just talk about it. We're going to do some things to that. So, and so there is usually, with the generalized anxiety, there's usually an imbalance in GABA. So so glutamate is the other neurotransmitter that causes reactions that are stronger to things. So there's more glutamate and less GABA a lot of times, and so causes a stronger reaction to external stimuli, to things like it might be to a dog, so whatever it is that they're afraid of, there's stronger reactions to that. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, that is usually when an event happened. It's the body's response. It's our body or central nervous system's response to an event or to a memory. And that's when there's too much excitatory. Okay, so it's information, too much in the hippocampus, and the hippocampus is where the memory is. So a lot of times that's something that's been stored there because when an event happened and and we respond to it, and we know, okay, wait, that was a threat. It felt like a threat to us or to the central nervous system. Then it makes meaning of it to protect us from that. And we'll talk about that more tomorrow, about how that makes meaning, how the body and central nervous system makes meaning to protect us and creates associations. And so that's so PTSD is when there's a strong emotional response and the logical brain cannot process it. It's overwhelming. That's trauma. It's overwhelmed by the information that's coming in, that stimuli that's coming in, and it doesn't know what to do with it. So it creates an alarm, a smoke alarm. Social anxiety is, again, usually it's when there's a fear of social situations or an angst about social situations. And in the brain, what this is when there's images of faces leads to extra activity in the amygdala. So relationships, even the thought of that and faces causes extra activity in the amygdala. So it causes the amygdala to be triggered and to go into that fight, flight, or freeze. Even just the thought of it, right? The anticipation of it.